feel the need for a movie that's better than the original. Top Gun Maverick. So Top Gun Maverick is the long-awaited sequel to the original Top Gun, this time directed by Joseph Kosinski. And it's still in theaters, and I know a lot of people have already made videos on this, and I'm a little late to the game, but I just really didn't want to review Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom this week, and looking at the box office, Top Gun Maverick is still crushing it, even though this is its third or fourth weekend by the time this video comes out. So I guess there's still something to talk about, and I saw it and I loved it. I've got some things to say, so here we go. And I guess the first thing I'll say about this movie is it's really good, surprisingly so. Now, I've always liked the original Top Gun. I mean, it's a classic 80s cheese movie. You know, it's got the Air Force, it's got your planes, it's got your shirtless volleyball sequences. But the original Top Gun isn't trying to be this deep character drama. It's supposed to be a fun 80s romp celebrating the military and the Air Force and camaraderie and a Maverick who doesn't play by the rules. You know, all the great cheesy 80s cliches. They're in there and it's handled well. But what Joseph Kosinski and Tom Cruise have done with this sequel is they took that cheesy premise and brought it down to earth a bit more than I expected. And I really appreciate that. Yeah, it still has its cheesy moment, and it is, at the end of the day, a crowd pleaser type of movie. It's the kind of movie that you watch and you're proud of the characters, you celebrate their victories, you struggle through their defeats. You're just having a good time, but there are deeper character moments. What they do with Maverick and the other pilots in this movie all makes sense for their characters and their backstories and how times have changed and how they've had to grow up in this Top Gun universe. So let's start with Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise returns as Maverick. He's an older pilot, he's a test pilot, but his thing's about to be shut down, so in kind of a last minute switcheroo led by Iceman, played by Val Kilmer once again. And don't worry, I will talk about Val Kilmer's performance in a little bit. But now Maverick has to go back to Top Gun, where the best of the best train in dogfighting to be even better. Now he has to teach not students, but graduates of Top Gun who've already proven themselves to successfully fly this impossible mission so that they can whittle this class of like 16 pilots down to, I think, 6, and they're the ones that are actually going to go on this mission, and it's Maverick's job to prepare them. And Tom Cruise plays this perfectly. Now, I've never been the biggest Tom Cruise fan, but seeing him in this movie, I realize why so many people have just latched on to Tom Cruise as an action star, because he sells it here. He slips right back into the role of Maverick, and it's probably because the role of an aging test pilot who doesn't like being told what to do and just wants to do things the way he sees fit probably relates to Tom Cruise as an actor, as an aging action star. He wants to do more stuff that are in camera when times are going more and more to digital CGI. So that real world connection is probably why Tom Cruise as Maverick feels so natural in this movie and has so much meat to the character than he did in the original. Because in the original he was just a hotshot pilot and he doesn't play by the rules and he's this rebel without a cause kind of thing. But here, he's a rebel, yes, but he has a cause. He wants to bring these kids home. He feels a certain parental responsibility for them, and Rooster in particular, because if you haven't guessed yet just by looking at Miles Teller in his getup, he's Goose's son. Like, there's no doubt. And Miles Teller nails this character too. For one, he is just the spitting image of Goose in the original. Maybe he has a bit of a thicker neck, because Miles Teller's been hitting the gym for this movie. But you just look at him and you're like, yeah, that is a chip off the old block, alright. It's uncanny how much he resembles Goose, and it works to the movie's advantage. It never becomes too nostalgia baity. It all works for the narrative, because as Goose's son, he has some resentment to Maverick, not only because Maverick may have caused his dad's death, but also because Maverick pulled his papers from the academy. Maverick didn't think he was mature enough or ready to join the military, so he had him wait 4 more years. So that resentment has really been building up in Rooster. But now he has to submit to Maverick's authority because, you know, teacher-student relationship. And yeah, a lot of sparks fly, and it's really good dramatic tension, and the arc that they go on from resentment to reconciling, and now they feel like a family by the end of the movie. It is all so satisfying to watch, and yeah, it's predictable. You kind of know where it's going to go, and it goes there, but it goes there in such a way where you buy it, and you're like, yes, these characters, they're learning, they're making smart decisions, you're proud of them in some parts because that's what you want them to do, to be the best version of themselves. And you'd think that'd just be run-of-the-mill storytelling, but it seems like a lot of movies nowadays feel like they need to subvert expectations or undercut what we think is going to happen or trick us in some way and switch things around, and sometimes it works and sometimes you get The Last Jedi, but here it just knows what it is, it stays in the pocket, it tells the story it wants to tell, the themes are there, the motivations are there, and they just pull it off. But real quick, I want to talk about Val Kilmer as Iceman in this movie, because he is an important piece in this narrative, and in the videos that I've seen, the reviews that I've seen, everyone's just kind of kept him hush-hush, because yeah, it is a spoiler to know how much he is in the movie, and I'll try to keep it vague for those of you who haven't seen it yet. But dude, when Val Kilmer is on screen, he owns it, and they played it so respectfully for both Val Kilmer the actor and Iceman the character. Now, it's no secret that Val Kilmer has had his share of health issues over the years, and it's really impeded his ability to act and be in movies because he just can't talk and perform like he used to. But what's so smart about this movie is that they set that up. They set your expectations in a good place where you know that Iceman is not in peak physical condition. He's aged, he's had health issues, he's not where he was. So when you see him, you're like, okay, yeah, you look older, you look kind of sick, you look different. But even so, they did such a good job at making Val Kilmer look good and presentable, despite the fact that the years have not been kind to him, and the fact that most of his dialogue is written out, it's not actually spoken. But the movie also uses that to its advantage, because when he does speak, and he only says a couple words, it has so much more meaning to it, because you know that for both the actor and the character, that is an important moment, that he's really trying to get something through Maverick's head. But it wouldn't be a Top Gun movie without a romance for Tom Cruise to get involved in, and he gets involved with an old flame, Penny, played by Jennifer Connelly. And is it just me, or does Jennifer Connelly also look very good in this movie? Really, everybody looks amazing in this movie. There are some really attractive actors, and some really attractive older actors like Tom Cruise and Jennifer Connelly. Like, they're getting up in age, but whatever makeup or filters they put on the camera to make them look the way they do, it worked. And I actually buy into this romance more than I do in the original. In the original, it was this kind of taboo relationship with him and his instructor. You know, it's this kind of forbidden love, but she's just so impressed with him and he's kind of infatuated with her. And even though it's romantic and they have their moments of passion, you know that that relationship isn't really built on much substantial. The relationship with Penny, on the other hand, feels a bit more weighty. And even though the relationship with Penny is not as intense or interesting as Tom Cruise's relationship with Miles Teller, for me, the love story with Penny doesn't feel as tacked on or superfluous as some other videos that I've seen make it out to be. I think it actually works pretty well. They have a backstory. She's an old flame that he bailed on. She has a kid, so the kid kind of resents Tom Cruise, so they have to repair that relationship. He has to prove his loyalty. So because of that, it's not your standard love story. There's baggage there. There's obstacles that Maverick has to overcome in that aspect while he's trying to overcome obstacles in this impossible mission. So while it's not the most engaging aspect of the movie, I do appreciate it, and I understand why it's there, if for nothing else, just as a breather from all that intense action stuff that's going on when we're not with Jennifer Connelly. And speaking of which, let's talk about that impossible mission, because this is a pretty standard setup. There's a target zone, they have to fly in, they have to blow it up, they have to get out in a certain amount of time. There's a very specific geography that they have to traverse that's hard to get in and out of. So really, a lot of this movie is just the students trying to learn the terrain and get good enough and fast enough in order to achieve this mission successfully. But what really sets us apart from other movie climaxes is the numbers. Every number that this movie spits at you, the 2.5 minutes of mission time, the 10 Gs that you'll sustain when you pull out, all of that is relevant and it comes back around in the story. So if you're paying attention, you will be rewarded for every number they tell you. And the movie actually makes it pretty easy to follow. I'm not exactly a numbers guy, but the way a lot of these monitors are shot, it focuses in on the numbers that are important, so it's pretty easy to follow. And when you see them pulling off these maneuvers, you're on the edge of your seat thinking, the clock's ticking, I know that they gotta get out by 2.5 minutes, I don't know if they're gonna make it. It's that extra layer of immersion that a lot of blockbusters just don't care about, and I appreciated that. And I guess it kind of goes without saying that the actual flight sequences, the way it's shot and edited, and seeing the actors actually in the cockpits is incredible. It's awesome. You can tell that this is real. It looks so real. I'm not really sure how they were able to get some of these shots. The camera placement on and around and above these planes is genius. You can follow the action so clearly, and you feel like you're there. You feel like you're in that canyon doing the trench run, trying to blow up the exhaust port. Wait a second. Did they just rip this ending from the original Star Wars? I think they did. I mean, really think about this. You have a small team of fighters that are going to go into this trench or canyon. They have to maneuver around. They got to go really fast because they're so outgunned. It's not even funny. And the target is a little shaft that's only 2 meters wide that they have to launch missiles inside, and then it'll blow up the whole thing. And they have to use a targeting computer in order to get it. Sound familiar? I'm sure that's just a coincidence. But in all seriousness, despite the passing similarities to Star Wars, the execution of this is so different because unlike Star Wars, this mission does not exactly go as planned. And without spoiling it, a lot of planes go down, people get lost behind enemy lines, they need to get picked up, and it's a bunch of camaraderie, and I'm talking too much. Go see the movie yourself. And those are basically all my thoughts on Top Gun Maverick. I loved this movie. It's so good. It's as good as everybody says and better. And it's just so refreshing to see a summer blockbuster that's primary concern is to thrill and entertain the audience first and foremost. And to see it be pulled off at this level of quality, because let's be honest, we've had cheesy summer blockbusters before. Most of the time they're just directed by Michael Bay and Steven Sommers, and they're usually not what I would consider high quality. But Top Gun Maverick is that. It's the best of both worlds. You have your high octane shooting guns and planes and missiles and adventure and fighting, and you have your deeper character drama of Maverick coming to terms with his older age and what's he gonna do now, and reconciling with both his old flame and his estranged surrogate son. But now I turn over to you guys. What do you think about Top Gun Maverick, and which one do you like better, the original or the sequel? Whatever you think, let me know in the comments, and if you like this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more content, and hit the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a video. As always, I'm Colby. This is my nerdy talk, and I'll see you in the next video.